Ask and you shall receive. You guys asked for a more basic look at a side-by-side comparison between the two leading color e-readers using Kaleido 2 or Kaleido Plus, so here it is. On the left we have the Onyx Boox Nova 3 Color, and on the right we have the Inkpad Color. These are both the second generations of the Color devices, respectively, by Pocketbook and Onyx. Up until this point, both companies have made a 6-inch Kaleido 1 device, and they now have their 7.8-inch devices right here in front of us. Now, the major difference between these two is that the Nova is using a glass screen, a truly glass screen, not plastic like the iFlyTech flush screen and bezel. This one's truly glass. As you see on the right here, the Inkpad is using the same shell, form factor, housing, and overall design as the Inkpad 3, which is a sunken screen and bezel. So this one's actually dipped down about 1 millimeter deep. I'm not sure what the imperial measurement of that is, probably some percentage of an inch, but it is sunken. Now, what we have found out in our recent teardown is that even though you have a sunken screen, that there is a gel layer in front of all of the assembly to keep that down. So it's not actually an exposed screen to the point where you're scratching the actual screen. There are a fair amount of things in the way. In fact, if you watch our teardown video, you will notice that there are a couple layers of things in front of the screen even when you don't have that glass or plastic topper. Now, there's some good and bad points to both of these. The Onyx is a fully fledged note-taking Android Google Play enabled device with audio and video, and it just can't compare to the Pocketbook in that regard. So in terms of installing apps, installing Comixology and the Kindle app and stuff like that, we're not going to do any of that because the Onyx does more than the Pocketbook. That's an indisputed fact that you can do more on this than this. But in terms of the overall look and appearance and everything, let's get started. On the two here, you will see that reading is a little bit different, and looking at them with your eyes, it is very apparent. I hope it comes off on camera as good as it does with your eyes. But this is more white. This has more greens in it. Both of the glow lights are off. This is the exact same shot. The whites on the Onyx are a little bit more darkened and gray, and the whites on the Pocketbook are a little bit more pronounced. Now, we did see in our teardown, we're going to be referencing that a lot because we learned a lot, that having that extra layer on top does in fact disrupt the image. Now, it's not night and day, and in fact, even with your eyes, you would have to nitpick and be part of a e-reader company, well, like us, to really notice things like that. But if you look at white space versus white space, you will see that it is different. Now, comparing these two in their base forms, they look very different, and this is not because of either of them using a different screen tech, because we can guarantee they're using the exact same screen from e-ink across both platforms. However, why it looks so different is because of the color control, and both of them do have it. Although the Onyx is a little bit quicker because the Pocketbook is just a little bit sluggish when it comes to performance, it does have contrast, saturation, and brightness. Now, it doesn't exactly tell you what most of these are, but we do know that it's saturation, brightness, contrast. I'm not really sure what the bottom one is. I think that was watermark, and it kind of pulls certain watermarks from the PDF respectively, but what you can do is you can change all those contrasts, the brightness, the saturation, and the watermarking, so you can really cater this to your own appearance, and it does look drastically different depending on what you put it at. And you can revert everything to basic if you want, and revert everything to basic on here as well, and it'll go back to standard, and that's why the standard looks so different. But it is going to just come down to your saturation control, brightness, contrast, and you can just make them look so different, and it does matter kind of case by case. So for a PDF like this, you don't want it too dark, maybe you want to lighten the contrast and the saturation so everything kind of shines through, but if you desaturate it too much, it kind of looks black and white. So it is hard to have a side-by-side when it comes to having this much control over the screen itself, and this is all software from each company. In its default form, this is what manga looks like as well. It is very vibrant on both of these. Again, they're using the exact same screen, although the base forms of each of these will deliver the contrast differently based on what you're using. Now, something important again to talk about on the Nova is that it is running APKs, which means if you don't like Neo Reader or the PDF reader that comes bundled with this, you can sideload in your own. Adobe, whatever the case may be, you can put it on here. You can even launch PDFs with Firefox or web browsers if that's what you want to set it to open with. So there's a lot more flexibility on this. The Pocketbook, it is just this. So if you do want to, if you're having trouble with this application, there's not really anything you can do about it because this is the only choice. So if you're thinking about switching apps to something else, it's just something you can't do because it just won't let you. Although both of these display manga beautifully, they both do pinch and zoom, they look very, very nice. Despite what people may or may not think, the lights from a glow light front light device do not shine down into the screen or behind it. It actually shines into a layer of thick silicone gel that lays over the entire assembly. That's why almost no light emits from the device, but it's fully displayed because it's shooting light into that layer. Both of these glow lights, whether it's sunken screen or flush and screen and bezel, they look nearly identical. There's no spillage. The flush screen has nothing to do with it. The sunken screen, it's irrelevant. They both look absolutely fantastic. So the glow lights cannot really be compared or saying one's better than the other. We covered the three basics, the PDFs, reading, and manga. I mean, anything else you want to do with these two can't really be compared. This doesn't have the capability of audio right out of the box without a dongle. You can't watch videos because you don't have any further video modes. Unlike the Onyx, you actually do have three different modes. You have speed mode, A2, and normal. They actually got rid of X mode because it got in the way of the colors, so they've removed that. But there's just so much more the Onyx can do than the Pocketbook can't, and it's not even a fair competition outside of just generic reading. However, the Inkpad Color is much cheaper than the Onyx, and it does, I don't care what the advertisement campaigns say about either of these two, if you put something on top of the screen, you are putting more layers in between the e-ink screen and your eyes. Therefore, the sunken screen does overall look a little bit better than having something over the screen, be it glass, be it a composite, be it plastic, whatever the case may be. This looks a little bit better. So weigh the options, check it out. If you want to see individual reviews and comparisons on these, it is available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/goodereader. And for a comparison between the Onyx Boox Nova 3 Color and the Inkpad Color, this is Peter.